National Security Advisor Eduardo Año promised yesterday to rid the quarter-kilometer-long floating barrier the Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels laid out in Scarborough Shoal over the weekend. Today, he kept his word and has sent China scrambling to issue repeated warnings of not stirring up trouble in the West Philippine Sea. Our Patrick De Jesus has the full report.
During a special operation, a Philippine Coast Guard personnel dove in his approach to the entry into Bajo de Masinloc, where the 300-meter-long floating barrier installed by the China Coast Guard and militia vessels was located. The PCG cut the rope of the floating barrier. An anchor underneath was also retrieved. The removal of the floating barrier is in line with the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to National Security Advisor Eduardo Año so that Filipino fisher folk can fish in Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine Coast Guard says the buoys installed in the entry to the shoal is in violation of international law and it is but right and legitimate to remove it.
Bajo de Masinloc is a traditional fishing ground. The 9-dash line claim of the People's Republic of China has no valid basis. And since this is a traditional fishing ground, the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, and the Chinese can be able to fish in this area. Secondly, it is also important to mention that Bajo de Masinloc falls within the exclusive economic zone of our country. This is a rock, therefore it generates 12 nautical mile territorial sea, meaning the Philippines has sovereignty over the waters of Bajo de Masinloc for the 12 nautical mile territorial sea.
The Department of Foreign Affairs assured that appropriate measures will be done to protect the country's sovereignty and fisherfolk livelihood. In a statement, the China defended the action of its Coast Guard in blocking and driving away the BFAR vessel when it tried to get close to Bajo de Masinloc. The PCG countered,
I don't know what's the reference. Probably they need to look into the decision of the tribunal once again and also to cross-reference the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea.
The PCG added, the removal of the floating barrier just shows the country asserts its rights in Scarborough Shoal.
Ang instruction ng ating Pangulo sa pagpapatanggal ng floating barrier natin na nakita sa Bajo de Masinloc ay sumisimbolo sa commitment at sa pangako ng ating Pangulo na we're not going to surrender any square inch of our territory to any foreign power. Kahit pa sabihin ng mga kritiko na ito ay ibabalik din ulit, wala rin masyadong epekto. Para sa akin, ang instruction ng ating Pangulo at naging aksyon ng Philippine Coast Guard sa pamumuno ng ating National Security Advisor na si General Eduardo Año, ito ay pagpapakita hindi lamang sa Pilipino kundi sa buong mundo. Tayo po ay titindig, gagawin natin ang lahat at ipapakita natin na tayo ay mayroon talagang commitment at kahit anong kulang tayo ng kakayahan pa man, gagampanin po ng tungkulin ng Philippine Coast Guard at ng Armed Forces of the Philippines ang lahat ng aming makakaya to make sure na ang West Philippine Sea ay igagalang at kikilalanin tayo ng mundo na ito ay para sa Pilipino.
Patrick De Jesus for The Nation.